We acknowledge the original owners of the land on which we podcast, whose stories were told for thousands of years. Today, we are recording in Meanjin. We pay our respects to elders past and present who may be listening. Sovereignty was never ceded. A quick note before we get started that there may be some swearing in today's podcast. If you don't like swearing or usually listen with children in the car, you have been warned. We're proud to be sponsored by Tyre Nuts, Brisbane's tyre fitting shop with a powerful purpose. Tyre Nuts is a leading social enterprise that creates real, full, award-wage jobs for people with disabilities without touching their NDIS funding. They make buying new tyres simple with an all-inclusive low price that covers the tyre, wheel balancing and wheel alignment. Get a great deal on your next set of tyres at Tyre Nuts. Book now at tyrenuts.com.au and follow their journey on Facebook and Instagram. This episode of What in the NDIS Now is brought to you by Episdode. Episdode is the software solution for NDIS professionals, built by NDIS professionals. It's my go-to software, and it's trusted and loved by hundreds of other NDIS providers. I love how easy it is to use, keeping all my participant information, notes, and invoicing in one place, available anytime from any device. Episdode are currently building out their scheduling platform after 4 years in the making. If you provide core supports and are looking for a scheduling platform to meet your needs, head to episdode.com.au/rostering waitlist. You're listening to What in the NDIS Now, a podcast where I, Hannah Redford, and my friend Sam Rosenbaum interview participants and providers about all things NDIS. Hey Sam, how are you going?
I am very excited, Hannah. How about yourself?
I'm doing really well. I actually have forgotten to bring a joke for this recording, so...
Well, I would happily come retort with a joke, but I'm really bad at jokes in the first place. So let's just move on and take that for granted.
Yes. Would you like to introduce our guest today?
I would love to. So this is a recording that I've been really excited and passionate about getting on going for quite a long time, because consulting in this world at NDIS is such a weird space and stuff. So I'm really excited to have Jacqui Grant from originally Break Free Consulting, but she's coming on board just after her new rebrand to ISOARe with Jacqui G. Thank you so much for coming on, Jacqui.
Thank you for having me. I love that. And I'm just going to give you one little correction. It was Break Free Consultancy, and that fits perfectly with the topic.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for coming on, Jacqui. As we always start the show, where did you grow up?
I grew up in a little country town in Victoria and started to raise my two beautiful boys there, and then moved to the city. And it's just been a real experience of, like, you can walk down to the area shops or the suburb shops and you won't see anyone and then you whereas in the country you just walk into any store and everybody knows everybody. But also too, I've travelled to Canada a couple of times and got to experience their health and disability experience. And then I've also travelled to Hawaii and I got to meet some incredible people and how they care for their family members who are ageing and got disabilities as well. So having those travel experiences has been a gift in my life.
That sounds amazing. That's so cool. Those two particular places are definitely places I would have liked to have gone to in times gone by.
It's never too late though, Hannah.
Oh, I don't know if you could get me in a metal box flying over water. While I don't mind flying to Victoria, the thought of being cooped up not in any seat, in any description for a period of time doesn't do me well.
No, well, the key is to walk. You walk the aisles and you walk up and down. That's when I was young, my parents took us to Europe, and that was the big thing they made us do because we were on long haul flights. And they said every few hours you have to get up and you walk the aisles.
Probably some good thoughts there.
So can you tell us a little bit about how you got into the disability sector?
Sure, I'd love to. I literally fell into it. So being a nurse, registered nurse, so I started as what they called an EN or Division 2 nurse, upgraded and did further studies to become a Division 1. Always worked in health, like community health, things like that. And this was all pre-NDIS days. And so we often worked with people that live with a form of disability, whatever that may be, and whatever defines that as a disability. Also working in a lot of pediatrics. I saw a lot of kids with autism, ADHD, worked in childcare as well. Then that dreaded time that we try not to refer back to too much hit. And at that time, just before that really took off and the lockdown started, I was doing personal training and I had another part-time job and loved my personal training, but I couldn't do it because of restrictions. So I applied for a job, got a job on the COVID-19 helpline. Then from there, I met someone else who was looking for a assistant manager for a disability support worker company. So I got interviewed for that. I got that job. Then that manager got let go of. So I got the manager's job. And during those really tough times, especially for Victoria, I was able to, and I had the privilege of working with a lot of people living with disabilities, and then lockdowns made it extremely hard for them. So we did the best we could and had an amazing team. So I think at one point we had like over 80 participants with the company, and we had quite a lot of staff, but I have to throw it out there that the staff I had, I could not fault. Like they would, report back to me, such and such is really struggling with this lockdown, or they're really scared to go out for that walk. Can you give me some strategies to help them? Not me come and fix the problem, but me give them strategies to do that. And as a team, we came together to support those living with a disability the best we could with that really trying time. I then went on to do support coordination, and then I ended up going out on my own, and because I was doing my own thing and I wanted to do a bit more PT with personal training, I should say, with people, I looked at NDIS registration again, and I said, oh no, I'll just have all my documents together, and if they mandate that I have to be registered, then I'll do it then. But I really want to make sure I've got compliance. And suddenly in a social media group, I saw all these people going, has somebody got a service agreement? Has somebody got this? And I realised at that point that people didn't understand running a business in the disability sector from a compliance and also protection of the business perspective. So for me, I was like a little bit dumbfounded, to be honest. I went, what? So I got approached by a couple of different coaches and consultants that said, look, if you put together your bundle and I refer people to you, can I get a group discount or something like that? And I said, oh, leave it with me, I'll think about it. Well, within the first week of sharing, I've got this document bundle, the templates, you have to adapt them. Like, I sold 100 like really quickly. So I went off and studied auditing and compliance. And so it just grew from there.
So you studied auditing and compliance.
Well, yes, because I'm autistic. Sorry to cut you off, Hannah, but because I have autism and ADHD, I can't. I like to know that the information that I'm giving someone is correct at the time. Now we know with the NDIS and the NDIA and the Quality and Safeguards Commission and the legislation and the government, we know that everything changes, and sometimes we know about the changes and sometimes we don't, right? So I wanted to come from a business perspective of letting people know, and I've been attacked quite a lot in social media groups, you're just telling us this to sell your documents. I'm like, no, I really don't care where you get them from. Well, I mean, I do. I do care, but it wasn't about me selling them. It was about get them, be responsible. And I thought if I had that background of knowing exactly what was going on, a little bit more than lived experience, I could then actually come from that more qualification, educational perspective versus, yes, here's my documents and of course I want $1 million kind of thing.
Yeah, I really love that story because we almost have a very similar trajectory and path in how we got into the sector, because just mine started in support coordination just on COVID. And then, like, we're in Melbourne lockdowns through and through at the same time. I got stuck in Richmond or something at one point. Through it would be nice to know that someone was a little bit close by. But that point around the disability didn't understand business was 100% why the same reason why I got in it. And it was at that time, it was so noticeable through the groups, I started up the Independent Support Workers and Providers Alliance Facebook group.
Oh, I remember that group.
Yeah, that was me. And I had some very great blatant rules because I got sick of being in all the Facebook groups where it was ill-informed advice to start with.
Yeah.
That was if someone had actually Googled what the answer was in the first place. And it was just so combative, so toxic, and a lot of them still are as well. And just reeking of stupidity in a way. And I had these rules. One, you had to do your research before you ask a question. So, like, yes, there are stupid questions, and it's the one that you don't bother to look for the answer in the first place before you ask it.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, don't answer if you don't know the answer to it. That was kind of blatant, the standard rules that we had for it. And it grew for a while. And then the reason why I got into consulting is because I had a business manager, an owner and a friend at the time that buggered me up. Google Fair Work in my last name and you'll find the story. But then that pushed me into plan management and I left that world. And then they called me up very quickly and went, hey, can you come help us with some other stuff and consult for us? And I was like, sure, why not? Yep. But that's why we never did policy and procedure documents as well, because there was a lot of stuff on the market. And as you said, hesitated to, so it doesn't matter where you got it from, but there was some that hit the mark really well. Mm-hmm. And there's others that were clearly trying to copy and were failing that, which is why I wanted today's conversation ultimately around ethics and consulting.
It's a good topic, and I love your story. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, we weren't that far away during that time. I
had the narrow gap where there was lockdowns for me to get down to Victoria and sort something out. I had to go down and deal with a big situation, and then I got stuck there for 4 months.
we trapped you. Yeah, I think one of the things is, and I think we're seeing it more and more from when you and I started, Sam, like with this, is that there's one of the trends that I'm seeing at the moment is because funding in plans is being cut. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. It is being cut. And I'm seeing a lot of business owners in core support getting their policies and procedures and taking their business name out. And now they're suddenly, and I use inverted commas here, people, now they're a consultant. Like, yes, and they know all about business compliance because they went through registration and they know what to tell you to do for an audit. And here, we're going to sell you these policies and procedures that effectively are identical to ours, but we're not going to tell you that. And so they're doing that. And the other thing that I'm seeing is that AI is being used a lot, especially for the registration questions, which the Commission now has caught on to. So we do know that there is quite a lot of businesses at the moment that are getting caught up with the commission, or at least somebody in that vicinity, contacting them and going, we have some questions around your policies and procedures, and we have some questions, and they're almost going through a second audit. I wouldn't call it an audit, but they're having to answer a lot of questions, and they have no idea because they bought the policies and procedures already done for them.
Mhm.
They didn't read them. Somehow they passed their initial audit, and now that they're up and running, they're sitting on a shelf. Like,
Not being
it's-
followed, not being implemented, not being understood. And then just so many, and we wonder as a sector why things are going so wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And, look, I know that we're all in business, and part of being in business is we'd like to make a profit. We don't want to just bring the money in to push it back out again. We actually want to make a profit. And that's not a bad thing. That's how the world works, right? And if a company is making a profit or they're paying their staff effectively, the money's going back out into the economy. So therefore then, the personal trainer that they always wanted, or the dietitian, or the supermarket, or whomever, the local farmer, they can go and spend their money there. So we want the jobs and we want businesses to do well. But to do well, there's a big lot of compliance. But it's not just to protect the consumer, although that is part of it. It's actually to protect the business owner and the sustainability of the business.
I think this could segue into a whole nother conversation about organizational risk management and preventative risk management from the start. So we won't jump down that track.
No, that should be another one.
But you definitely do raise some valid concern or points around that kind of adoption of risk and forethought before you start a business or get into business to protect yourself from real financial loss. Because the old age saying of failure to plan is planning to fail.
Yes. I think the thing is that if we talk NDIS specifically, a lot of businesses are starting to struggle more than they thought, because and a lot of people saw the money's guaranteed because it's coming from the government, so it's guaranteed. It's not like, Sam, I have you as a client and I have to just hope and pray you're going to pay for the services, or at least if you're having financial trouble to pay, that you would communicate with me. But we take that risk as coaches, as consultants. But when it comes to the NDIS, people just go, it's guaranteed money. Like, they're putting 42 million into it, or they're putting whatever into it. But there's all these other factors now, especially with the payment integrity team being hot on everything. And I think that a lot of independents, a lot of smaller businesses that aren't going through registration and things like that are not, like, the common thing I get is, Jacqui, I'm not a business, I'm a sole trader. And I went, oh. But hold on a minute, do you have an ABN? Yes, of course I have an ABN. I have to have the ABN. Okay, great. Could you just remind me, what is an ABN? They go, but don't you know you're a coach or you're a consultant? And I went, yeah, I do. I'm just checking if you do. Now, by this time, I've really annoyed them because I think I'm treating them as someone that's stupid. No, I'm really not. I'm actually asking serious questions, even though it's quite humorous to those of us that have to deal with this. And I go, you've got an Australian business number. There is compliance just having an Australian business. Forget about the sector, forget about the industry, that you do have to meet. And that's why I studied compliance.
Yeah, I love this point, because it's almost like I've had this conversation 101 times as well around but it's almost like in creating the NDIS sector, we've been gaslit collectively to forget that we're a relationship-based service business.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, if you go to Woolies and Coles, it's a service delivery business. You've got products and stuff, but at the end of the day, there's still service. They've got to be stocked the shelves. The products. You want that overall. It's still a business.
Yes.
We're selling our support And you've also got to keep that friendliness as well to retain, because it's personalized support. It's not like buying something off shelf. I don't care if you're friendly to me buying something off shelf or I'm buying it from a computer.
Yeah.
But we work in support, personalized support, and person-centered support. So it's relationship, it's people, it's not the same. And we're also still a business, not an NDIS, just an NDIS provider. And I think that point of, oh, I'm a sole trader, but I just do this, has made us forget that how to operate as a business, or that we're actually businesses in the first place.
Exactly. And that's what, like, I've said to a lot of independents that have come to me, and they just want me to hand them, $1,500 worth of documents, policies and procedures. And then they're shocked when I say, and you're going to have to do some work with them, because you are going to have to adapt them. They're templated out. You have to read it to make sure it represents your business. And they go, well, then if that's the case, can't you give it to me for free? And I said, no, because I've read the legislation and I've read work cover and I've done all of this work. This was all my time. But the thing is, I am also running a business. I'm not a charity. I'm not a non-for-profit. I am actually for-profit, strange as that might sound. And I think, too, there is a little bit of victim mentality. This is not going to win me any votes at all, this one, but there is a little bit of victim mentality in businesses and in people receiving services, because the government has said, like, yeah, we're setting up NDIS. We really want to support people living with a disability. But most of the people that live with a technical, inverted commas, disability are not on the NDIS. They can't get, technically, I live with a disability if we want to be technical. And I don't get NDIS. I do not qualify for NDIS. That's fine. I actually don't want it. But it's more to the point that there are people out there living with disabilities of some description that are not eligible. Now, with all the changes going on, I think that we're going to see a lot more businesses, and there's nothing wrong with innovation, but I think we're going to see suddenly a lot more consultants sprout up, because to stay in that sector and not go and look at expanding their business out of it, a lot of people aren't going to make the money that they want to or choose to. And they actually forget, like you said, Sam, we're dealing with people. And you might find this funny. I love this one, is that a lot of people will come to me and go, Jacqui, where do I find clients? I hate that. Where do I find clients? So if I'm in a mood, I'll say, well, please share with me the type of client that you're looking for. If it's a gardening one, you might want to try Bunnings. If it's a craft one, you might want to try Spotlight. I'm really not sure the type of client that you're looking for. Now, I then say to them, I'm actually joking, but do you see how your question of where do I find them, they're not sitting on the shelf in Bunnings or Spotlight or Coles or anything like that. They're not a product or an item that you can pick up and go, oh, I got it, I found it, like, let's take it on home, right? You've got to actually connect with people.
And so it's also like we're as a sector, we've all kind of gone, you've got to be able to walk the walk, but walk the talk. But as a sector, we've also stopped questioning if everyone around us is doing that as well. And we've just kind of adopted this, oh, it looks good, it must be good mentality, rather than looking at really the person-centered outcomes that we're wanting to be able to deliver, and how our policies, procedures, our leadership, our governance, our culture, from the top down to the employees, down to your consumers, all has a big impact on that.
Oh, 100%. And one of the things that I'm going to be releasing really soon, we're still just in the bit of a trial phase with it, but is it's called an ISOARe Business Personality Profile Tool, right? And it's going to be free. There you go. I'm giving something away.
Yay!
Woohoo!
Freebies!
We're also going to do the individual one as well, because I'm getting a lot of interest for people to want to do it for themselves personally. Now, we've trialed it with quite a few different people in its current form, and they, outside of a couple of technical glitches, they're loving it. Now, one of the things we talk about is when you know your business identity. So as a business owner, you have your hat on. See, I love the whole concept of hats and buckets, but you have your business hat on. You think as the owner of that business, or if you are the manager or the team leader, you could probably do it, obviously, with the boss's consent. And at the end of it, that primary personality profile that you get will give you some key cues into it. The next level from that, and this now becomes a paid service, is if you want to unlock your unique success code for your business, you come do it, you book in. We have some emails, we do a session, and you then get your secondary profile, and we bring together your unique success code that actually helps you. And by the way, it is trademarked for those of you listening that think this is a great idea. But you can actually then from there learn about your communication style, your branding message, your marketing, how you connect with people, how you face challenges. And so then as a business owner, you can now filter this down in through the rest of your business and your team. And you can say, okay, we're all about innovation. So when we support somebody, we want to think of a bit of a different way that we can get them out of the house. And that, or you're a relationship builder, so you might be more nurturing in your business approach. Now, out there in the world, there's people that love to think of new ideas all the time. So they're your ideal client if you're more that innovation. If you're the relationship builder, there's people that want that hand-holding, nurturing. If your message is on track, and it is, and we go so much deeper than this, this is a whole process that we do and a whole methodology and lots of other tools. But even just by doing the free quiz, you would know, I have not had one person go through that quiz and say that wasn't me.
I am very excited, and I'm glad you brought that up because part of my notes I did have talking about profiling to lead you into this conversation. So I'm very excited about this tool. I'm referring several of my clients. So I'm doing it myself.
Yeah.
But if we sort of step back a little bit and why we want to do what profiling is, why we want to do it, how we implement and then start to, as leaders, take that insight and how we operationalize it. Because we were on one of our recent episodes, we're talking about our provider pathway as well, which ties in around the people experience, which this is why I really resonate with a lot with how you operate as a coach and a consultant as well. But as a coach, when you're sort of doing that little bit of coaching.
It's a combination. It's all good.
So can you just sort of run us through profile? Because there's different types of profiling that people might be familiar, such as DISC or the Myers-Briggs sort of one. Yeah. What are those tools? How are they useful, and why should we want to use them as a business? And then also a little bit more, if you could sort of go, because you and I have spoken about yours. Can you go into a little bit about the nuanced difference for why you've done and created this?
So here I am in my mid-50s and I keep studying. So I recently just done a refresher in behavioural profiling. So I have studied profiling and educating people before. And one of the things I found is that, especially when it comes to being a business owner, whether you own a company, like a small company, or whether you're a sole trader, is often we hold our business back by not understanding the business's own identity, and we put our own identity into that as the person. So just to explain that a little bit more, we as individuals all have our own core traits, strengths, motivators, and our past experiences or life experiences flow into that. But there's also then genetics and things like neurodiversity and things like that come into the brain function, the actual anatomy and physiology and the neural pathways of the brain. So when we look at a person as a whole, there's all these different elements. There's the cognitive, the physical, the mental, if you like, the difference for cognitive. There's also, I said, physical, emotional. Yeah, so that's the primary ones. And then it's how the person then perceives the world based on their experiences, which then flow out to their behaviours. So if we take neurodivergent or neurodiversity and we look at like autism and ADHD are a spectrum. So if we focus more on those two for a moment, even though there's other names that fall under that umbrella of neurodiversity, a person who has autism and ADHD traits will respond and react differently to somebody that they might have a couple of traits, but they're really low, if on the spectrum at all. So one of those things is that there's certain things they can't control because it comes from their brain. So those neural pathways, the way the messages get through, their ability to understand social cues, things like that. And often, if you grew up in my generation, you just got told you were different and to behave. So we learnt to mask. So when we come to profiling, there's DISC, which will focus, like that has 5 different types. I've studied DISC. There's Myers-Briggs that has 16 primary ones, and then there's the subcategories. But when you do either of those, you get a broad information and a little bit. And unless you then go and work with them or with a practitioner, you're not going to fully understand what it is and how it impacts your business, because it's more of an individual thing. It's not tailored to, the results are not tailored to business specific. Now, I'm not saying there isn't ones out there, and I'm not saying that there isn't consultants that don't do this, but I'm yet to find even that freebie intro to dive in and go, I want to know this for my business. You've got to know how to get the data or the information that you get from doing the quiz to then apply it to your business. And that's where everybody goes, well, shiny thing, I did it, and now I'm bored because I don't understand how it works. And especially if you have, like I do, the autism or ADHD traits, is I'll go, I want to know more, but I don't understand and I don't know where to. And here we go down the rabbit hole. So with ISOARe Business Personality Profile, what we've done is we've even included, when you get your results, you get your core message, you get the challenges, you get a little bit if you're neurodivergent, if you're an introvert or an extrovert, and that kind of thing. So with that, we do it differently. So profiling it as a history, and just to go back to, I suppose I missed that part, profiling was generally found to use for criminology, to identify the behaviours and say, okay, so if we want to capture this person, we look at their behaviours, then they go into their life experiences, and often you can see it all from, in that instance with criminals and especially murderers, that there's something there right from birth.
There's definitely quite a lot to unpack, and especially with what I've learned as well from the 5 years I've been now sort of out consulting separately, is a lot of the time, because of the nature of the way that people have stepped into leadership in the sector, a lot of them don't know or have the grounding from a business admin and business management perspective. I'm kind of fortunate because my entry into the sector and the leadership positions that I've held and been in was more kind of progressive. And I also started in events and hospitality and different business sort of structures and operational structures and dealing with bureaucracy and that sort of space, which gave me and empowered me to understand the operational impacts and how to do it. But a lot of people have come from the support worker background, then been thrown into situations where, hang on, probably either want to start up my own sole trader because of poor leadership in my own businesses, or they've been, just by nature of the way that the industry is folding and changing so quickly, one company closes, a staff member goes, let's start up a business because we closed down, and it wraps around all the support. And then you've got a new leader, a new business owner that's, while good intentioned, may not actually be prepared or aware of what they should know to start off with.
100%.
That role?
Yeah, 100%. And that's why a lot of the independents are amazing at what they do with the people they provide services to. I really don't like the word participant. So I like
that's why I use consumer.
Yeah, and I like to just say, well, the person with the NDIS plan, to be honest, because they're a person and they've got an NDIS plan, but that's just my pathway. Yeah, it's they just don't realize everything that goes into running a business. That's the problem, and a lot of them don't want to learn it because until there is a fire to put out, it doesn't matter. We'll just have our head in the sand and go, I'm earning X amount of dollars and life is
Or
really
I'll
good.
go find someone that's promising me registration and compliance and buy that off them. Which, there's quite a lot in it. And it's also why, like, as I said, I didn't necessarily do a lot of documentation and stuff.
This episode is brought to you by Provider Advisory Service. What if your next audit wasn't just about compliance, but about people? Introducing the Provider Optimization Pathway, a 2-meeting diagnostic that transforms how NDIS, aged care, and health providers lead, engage, and grow. POP dives deep into leadership, workforce, and consumer experience, revealing what's working, what's missing, and what's possible. It's not just a report, it's a roadmap to build a resilient, people-first organisation where your team thrives and your clients feel the difference. Go to provideradvisory.au, no .com, just provideradvisory.au for more information.
Before we sort of wrap up with that and get into our last question, when we're working with people, because I've seen quite a lot of instances where someone comes to me and goes, hey, I've had this or I've done this before with a different consultant, or I bought this package and now I've either got a non-conformity on my registration like audits, or it's just not working for me. And it's more that latter one that I find is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of those kind of key things that if someone kind of asks you what should I look for in a consultant, or if I'm struggling, I want to get into the business or start looking for, what would that person look like, and what advice would you give to the new provider to look for?
The first thing that you want to check is if the consultant or coach, whichever way you want to go. So first off, a consultant's probably going to do a lot for you or tell you to do a lot, whereas the coach is going to go, we're in this together. So just be aware of that. The other thing is, ask, like when they start talking about their contract, make sure that you read it properly, that you're not locked in to only ever work with them ever again, or that, if there is a fee, to get out of it, because I always see consultancy like this. Some people are really great with risk management, so you might want the consultant for that risk management. You might want the consultant to get you started and then help you to continue moving forward. And then you might want someone else whose specialty and pathway is allied health, or like wherever you're going with your business. And so it shouldn't be a one size fits all. So that consultant shouldn't be doing absolutely everything, because if they're doing absolutely everything, then what is their skill set? What is their strength? And you really want them to play to their strength and their knowledge. Technically, I've studied that much. I know a lot about a lot of different things. And I'm really clear from my nursing experience too, is that I'm not your one-stop shop. I'm more than happy to refer you on to someone else to get that feedback or to get that other support. And I think that a person, when you're looking at a consultant, what do you want that consultant for? What are they offering you? And how much say do you have in your paperwork? And when applying for registration, do you get to read the questions and change them so that they suit you? Or is the consultant insisting that they'll do it all? And trust me, the way they will paint it to you is, don't worry about it. We've got you covered. We will do everything for you. You don't have to worry. We guarantee you'll get registration. It's all good. And it sounds magical. And it sounds like you don't have to do much at all. But at the end of the day, the responsibility falls back onto you. So just be really careful.
That is 100% good advice. And I see it too many times, and promises, and like, just a guarantee of registration or even guaranteeing participants.
Oh, I know. Sign up and we'll get you 10 participants a day. I was like, really? Where are you getting them from? Maya? Like, yeah.
I like what you're saying because I'm big on a team. And so from what I'm hearing, part of the idea would be to have kind of a team around you. And so you might go to Jacqui for some coaching and understanding about your business, and then you might come to Sam to understand, something else. And so the idea is you have this team that have different strengths, and as long as you're really clear about, I go to this person for this thing and this person for that thing. It is something that I often talk to people who have NDIS plans. When I was a support coordinator, I would talk about potentially having support workers who have different strengths, and maybe you have this one person is there to support you with cleaning, and then this person is to support you with meals, and then this person is to support you with, all your medical appointments or something like that. And that's maybe how we organize it, rather than one support worker who can do everything, because no one support worker can actually do everything and do it well.
And consultants are exactly the same.
Yeah. So this is what I really love also about your personality types as well, because, and this is what I talk to providers a lot about, is you must understand your business and exactly what it is that you are doing, because any provider trying to say we can do it all does nothing for nobody, because it doesn't work. You have to pick a specialty. You have to be good at one thing and do that really well.
Yep. And coming from somebody that has a lot of qualifications in a lot of different areas, it's more for my background. It's more so than if I'm referring someone to Sam, then I'm going to ask Sam certain questions, or if I'm referring them to you, I'm going to ask you certain questions, or I'm going to give them certain questions to ask you so they hear it for themselves. Because I only ever recommend or refer somebody to someone else because I've already built up that relationship with them and I feel confident that they could work with that client.
Yeah, exactly. And I really love that, because and that's that sort of again, that sort of comes back to support coordination, because when I was a support coordinator, I did a lot of trying to find new providers and getting to know them so that I could trust that if I did send them a referral or recommended them in the 3 or 4 that I suggest to the participant, that it's a genuine suggestion and that any of these suggestions would work really well.
Love it.
Brings it back to relationship-based businesses.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So, Jacqui, as we come to the end of the episode, we ask, in your ideal world, what would the future of the NDIS look like?
Oh, that's a biggie, isn't it? In my ideal world, the people that require the services the most would actually get it, that it suits them in a positive way. Now, it does come down to being, and I'll use NDIS's terminology, reasonable and necessary. So the big thing is that it should be that they can get X amount through NDIS, and then if they need additional supports or education or whatever, or their family needs it, that there could be something available in mainstream as well, that we work together as a whole ecosystem with health, with aged care, with NDIS, so that it becomes a more holistic approach in one way. Another version of that also would be where it's not so much NDIS and that separation for people with disabilities, because the way NDIS is looking and appearing to be heading, it's more people, to use their language, profound disability. It's not a word I necessarily agree with, but that's their language, not mine. But where people that have those complex health and living experiences, they do need that additional support. So does the NDIS become more about the really high needs intensive, and community and the rest of the funding is more connected back to Medicare and things like that? Is that maybe a different thing? That is something I've been toying with, because then people like myself, or people that struggle a bit more than what I do, like, I'm lucky I have all the right support, but if I didn't have the support I have, I would probably need a support worker some days. I would potentially need a bit more assistance, and there isn't anything for those people that have what's classified as a disability, but they're not eligible for NDIS. So I think a fairer system for all people that live with a disability of some form would be a much better approach than you're either on the NDIS or there's nothing.
So are we petitioning Mark Butler for thriving people?
I think we should just sit the government down, the potential right people, and say, now, we actually want to know you've heard us. Like, it's...
Wouldn't that be lovely?
Just heard. And I look at it like this. There's X amount of money in Australia, right? And it's a little bit like the parents. The parents have got X amount of money, and then the money's got to go to all these different kids, or all these different kids' needs, or whatever. And so it's all got to filter out. So, we can't really take from the education to then give to the health, and then take from health to give to defence, and then from defence we've got to give it back to the NDIS. Like, we're just taking money from everywhere. It's almost like somebody needs to sit down and do a better look at the budget. I don't know, because some people are spending more than others, so to speak.
Mum and Dad and the barefoot investor.
Exactly. It's like, look, I'm not a politician, and I'm not a financial guru or expert or anything. I'm just looking at it from my little brain and my little world, and I just think that we could do better. But obviously everybody's got an opinion, and everybody believes their opinion is right. So somebody's got to make a decision, and we're not going to like it. Necessarily.
I like that last sort of sentiment part. Equality for all.
Yeah, I think that, because we as a country are really struggling, and then different states are struggling more than others, and I worry about future generations.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate all of your thoughts today.
Thank you for having me. I get very passionate about this.
Well, we love having passionate people on the podcast. It's why we do it, because Hannah and I are both very passionate about hearing stories and from yourself and different providers and participants, and it's why we do what we do.
You're doing a great job.
Well, thank you very much for coming on, Jacqui, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Until next time, bye.
Huzzah!
This episode was made possible with support from Industry Decoders. Industry Decoders is here to assist NDIS professionals become the best providers they can be. We offer training, development and support. We can help you write care plans and reports, and we can answer your NDIS questions. Check out the website at plandecoders.com.au/industry-decoders to find out more. We are also offering our 2-hour Industry Decoder Q&A sessions, an easy and fast way to have your NDIS questions answered by me, Hannah. Contact me today to find out more. Thank you for listening. Please share with people you know. Until next time, as the Green Brothers say, don't forget to be awesome.